The Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation has lamented the escalating incidents of petrol smuggling across Nigeria's borders, which it puts at a whopping 42 million litres per day. The corporation said the unbridled smuggling has increased Nigeria's estimated daily consumption of 60 million litres to 102. With the menace now gaining more momentum and illegal dealers more daring, the oil company stated that the subsidy that the government pays on petrol every month in order to keep the pump price at 162 now hovers between 140 to 150 billion. Goodness. Oil and gas analyst Chapel Hill Denham, Mustapha Wahab joins us to discuss further. Mustapha, good morning to you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Rotus.
I do want to start with this, the smuggling matter. What do you make of where we are now with what the NNPC has just, been driving at, and this issue of smuggling? I guess, can we realistically ring fence the country's borders and stop smuggling? Fuel smuggling.
Great question, Rotus. I think the problem right now is that it's more or less a case of the law of one price, right? And the theory basically says that an identical product should trade at the same price, irrespective of the location, once you factor in exchange rate, right? And to put that in better context so that you understand the kind of position we're in Nigeria today, Nigeria pays actually one of the lowest price for PMS products in the world. In sub-Saharan Africa, we actually paid the lowest actually. And if you check global average of PMS price products in Nigeria, globally, what you see is that Nigeria actually pay close to 70% lower compared to what you see global on global average. That just basically makes sense, for anyone who sees the opportunity to smuggle the product from Nigeria and sell it, to neighboring West African countries. And to put it in a better context, right? In Ghana, in Benin Republic, I think PMS price is close to 3.5 times more expensive. You go to Cameroon, it's about 4.5 times more expensive. Hence the reason why you're seeing this significant jump as far as consumption is concerned. Because in-house in Chapel Hill, we actually estimated that at least 35% of that is being smuggled, outside of the country, right? And I think what the NNPC chairman basically said is that they are now going to be spending anywhere between 150 billion to 160 billion on a monthly basis to actually subsidize PMS products in Nigeria. And that number seems quite small, but if you analyze that sort of number, what you'll be seeing is close to 1.8 trillion per annum in subsidy payments. And compare that to return revenue of last year of about 3.8 trillion. That basically does not make sense. Now, for us to solve this sort of problem, I think there are two ways. Number one is that it's either you completely deregulate the market such that Nigeria's PMS products will sell almost at an equivalent rate that is selling across the border countries, right? Secondly,
that's a tough one.
It's quite tough, right?
Right.
Quite tough. And I think the tough part is where the second key solution actually comes in. Because I like President Muhammadu Buhari, and you understand that completely deregulating the PMS market in Nigeria today is just going to put a lot of pressure on consumer purchasing power, on inflation, and what have you. So I think the low-hanging fruit for us to consider right now is how to beef up the border, right? If you can solve that sort of problem, I know it is not realistic, right? Whilst we are waiting for the industry to be completely deregulated, just solve this sort of problem such that at least 30 to 35% that is being smuggled, will come back to the country, and then we could potentially save, significant amount of money, just basically, from subsidy alone. That's where I see things going.
It's again, with our exclusive interview that the morning show had with President Buhari, he said that. He said, if you deregulate, Nigerians will scream and yell and so on and so forth. What about transferring the savings from subsidy to the states or the civil service, or maybe try to? I know you can't. It comes out to what, 1 trillion naira? Yeah, I know. Yeah. So that can only go so far. But what about using that to augment the impact that a deregulation would cause? So if the man on the street is being hit in the face with higher prices, transferring that to try and say, okay, alleviating it, can that possibly do something?
You are correct. It would do a lot of things, right, to ensure that it cushions the impact of that, complete deregulation of PMS. But the key problem is trust, between Nigeria and the government.
The trust deficit, right?
Exactly. So that's essentially what President Goodluck Jonathan tried to do in 2012. Rather than paying some big guys in the downstream sector, let's deregulate. I mean, what they were saying clearly is that PMS subsidy is actually not beneficial to the lowest of the lowest bottom of the pyramid in Nigeria. Let's subsidize and remove the subsidy such that we take the money and then use it to do some other things such as infrastructure, maybe education, health, right? But the key problem then again is that if they do remove the subsidy, are they going to do what they said they are going to do? I think that's where the problem is. But if that could be achieved, it will go a long way in cushioning the impact.
Okay, what about a phased deregulation where you move to maybe, I don't know, 180 or 210? And then, with that, or is that still kicking the can down the road?
That would also work, but I mean, Nigerians, I think the good thing about Nigeria is that when you hit Nigerians with something in the face, before you know it, we are all, we become comfortable with it, and then we start to, look for, ways to get out of that sort of mess, right? If you say you want to do it in tranches, right? Okay, Buhari did 50%, and a new government is coming to do another one, and then we'll start to see another uprising, perhaps by opposition party or a lot of pressure.
Labor unions.
So if you want to do anything, I wish President Jonathan had done it in 2012.
Well, he tried,
we
but the
won't
entire
be saying anything.
The entire country, and let's quickly get to the Petroleum Industry Bill. I have to touch on that. Look, they had a shouting match. They were. Most of us, we've been going over this now for 14 years. Prior to the Buhari administration, he's been in office now for 6 years. They said they would pass it in March. They said they would pass it in April. They said they would pass it in June. Now we're hearing that which has been an issue that's been around, the host community saying that the 10%, 2% allocation. I mean, can't they just negotiate this and get this passed? Because it looks like with the legislature going on recess in 2 weeks, we might not get PIB until September. What do you make of it?
Rosus, you'll be surprised to know that a lot of people in the government understand what they are losing by not passing PIB. On a daily basis, they understand, and they actually want to to pass it. But I think sometimes, politics and economics, they don't go hand in hand. You would have to find a way to manage it, and to put things in proper context. Right, this PIB tries to solve 3 key issues. One is, taxation of IOCs. Second is, how do we, raise fund, or how do we keep fund for host communities? And lastly is, unbundling structure of the current structure of NNPC, right? IOCs are already complaining that if you want massive investment to come into deep water projects in Nigeria, you probably have to give us a lot of tax holidays. Fresh money coming in, give us tax holiday for the next 5 years. I mean, you are doing it for cement. Why not oil? So if you can do that, a lot of monies will come in as far as upstream and gas is concerned. That's their own agitation. For host communities, they're asking for 10% from 2.5% that the current bill is actually proposing, right? It just basically makes sense for us to think of self-interest. If something is not going to be beneficial to you, why should you support it, right? And lastly is NNPC, right? Rotus, a lot of companies in the current structure of NNPC are essentially dragging the entire operation of the business. If you can unbundle it, there are some nice companies, fantastic ones that are doing absolutely well. A good example is NPDC. It's a massive, nice company. Gross margin net margin for NPDC is close to 50%. That's very possibly comparable to Seplat. You think of PPMC as well. They are enjoying gross margin of up to 20%, right?
Mustapha, we got to go. So follow those examples is what you're saying.
If you follow those examples, I mean, it makes sense for you to sort of try to,
then you can
unbundle the structure and then perhaps list some segment of the business.
Mustapha Wahab, oil and gas analyst, Chapel Hill Denham. Thank you so much for talking about the oil and gas industry. Very helpful.